thank you, Richard. We really appreciate you being here today. And, we've really been looking forward to this. I believe this is going to be a phenomenal interview. So thank you.
Okay.
Let's talk, as much as we don't like to, let's talk failure for a moment. Do you believe that failure truly exists?
Well, it's an interesting question. Depends on the perspective. If we take the view that something was not successful in its desired outcome, then it can be called failure. If we take the perspective that everything happens for a purpose and we can learn from it, I don't believe in failure. I believe it's a way to take a look at what happened and what didn't happen and how to change it so the next one turns into more of a desired outcome.
So you do believe there's an underline in every instance that somebody might determine as a failure?
I'm sorry, I didn't understand the question. That someone might determine as a failure?
Yeah, so if somebody determines that they went to accomplish something and didn't happen, they consider it to be a failure. What you're saying, what I'm understanding from what you're saying, is that there's an underline in there somewhere of a positive, somewhere in there that they can turn around.
That's correct. Yeah. Yes. It's if you're out riding a bike and you fall, well, you want to take a look at why you have fallen. So then you get back up and you go again. So that's not a failure. That's just another step. I'll give you a perfect example.
Yes.
One day I called my son and I said, Jonathan, I'm going to get married. And he said, well, Dad, how can you do that? You got a divorce. I said, the relationship failed. I didn't fail. So it's how you choose to view the perspective.
Interesting. Now, is there any particular way that we would be able to change our perspective?
Yeah, step out of it. Nothing has meaning except the meaning we give it. If we decide that it's failure, then it is indeed failure. If we take a look at it from a larger perspective, we haven't a clue what it really means in the moment. So when you step into a larger perspective and take the whole picture, and time certainly helps that, then you have a different way of looking at it.
Well, that's. Can you elaborate on that a bit? Because that's very interesting. It's almost as if it turns step out of the heat of the moment. In a lot of occasions, people quite often say, step out of the heat of the moment. And there's been times prior to little conversations where we had thought, this is the end is the end. We failed. But you're right. When you step away from it and you take a little time to observe other angles of what happened, you commonly find an underlying positive, do you not?
In my experience, you do. It's often been said that when one door closes, another one opens. And I heard, and I love the reframe on that, when one door closes, about 100 open up. How many times has someone gotten fired and in the moment it was the worst thing that happened, or gotten a divorce and in the moment it was the worst thing that happened, and given a time or a different perspective, all of a sudden a new career, a new potential, a new life mate opens up and everything changes. So that's what I mean by step back, give it time, see the bigger picture, and don't get locked into it. And again, Dan, I say nothing has meaning except the meaning we give it. If we give it a meaning of failure, well, that's the vibration. That's what it is. Give it a meaning of another step, then it can turn into remarkable success.
So instead of considering it a failure, maybe just start looking at it as another obstacle en route to your goal.
Yeah. What's the gift in it? What's the gift in it?
Well, right there, you just actually said something that really struck a nerve is what is the gift in it? The underline, and if we look for the underline, there's always going to be a positive that comes out of a negative. I mean, I love how Tony Robbins says that, no matter how thin you slice it, there's two sides. And, we typically do that is we only see the positive instead of really stepping outside of it and looking for the negative. That's some great advice, Richard. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. How many times when I was practicing chiropractic in San Diego, when someone would tell me about a relationship that ended, and when we looked at it, it was horrible in the moment. And I don't know about you, but I've had that experience too. But what I've learned from that, and with my counseling of the practice members back then, is we learn things we will not tolerate in a relationship. There's great learning experience in it. Same thing with a job. If you have a job, and you get fired. You will learn things you will not tolerate next time around. What a remarkable opportunity.
Yeah, spin it instead of looking at it always from the one angle. That's you know what, that's an amazing piece of advice. Thank you.
Yeah, just give it a different meaning. It's like our lives. We all have a story about our life. People, I didn't have a happy childhood. It's a story. You made it up. Change the story. You ask siblings and parents about a similar or the same event that occurred. You'll get four different perspectives, allowing that there were four people. We, which is many years ago, it's about 18, and I saw a Japanese play called Rashomon. And it's about a young man and woman who go into the forest to have a picnic. They're set upon by a would-be robber who turns out that he murders the boy, rapes the woman, and there happens to be a witness. Now, this is a play. So the next scene is there's a trial, and the story is told by each of the people. First by the murdered man, then by the woman, then by the witness, then by the perpetrator. So we have a total of 5 stories. Not one of them is what you observed going on in the first place. We live our life through our own story. So if you don't like it, change story. It's really that easy.
That is a phenomenal way to look at it, actually, Richard. It's
Yeah,
never quite been put that way to us before in any of these interviews. That's amazing.
yeah. You don't like it, change the story about it.